So are you looking to move to the Seattle area and you just can't decide which area to live? Well, this video I'm going to talk about Sammamish and Issaquah and compare the two. Hey everybody, this is Tova Williamson. I am a local real estate agent here in the Seattle area. On this channel, we shoot tons of videos of what it's like to live in the Seattle metropolitan area. So if those are videos you want more of, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and click that little bell so that you'll be notified every time a new video comes on. These are two kind of suburbs that have gotten really popular over the past couple years. They're both very family oriented. Both have really highly rated schools, and they've just become really popular to live in and move in, and prices because of that prices have gone up quite a bit here. But they're similar in a lot of ways, but they are also different. Issaquah is right off I-90, so if you're getting into Seattle, if you have to commute, it's a bit easier of a commute just because you're like kind of right off the freeway there. Sammamish, Sammamish kind of encompasses like this whole area here. This is like kind of the little downtown area. So it's just going to be a little bit longer, like if you're commuting into Seattle, because you've got to get like around the lake and then go over. But I do know people that are working in like kind of Redmond or even Bellevue area. So Sammamish can be kind of a good in between if people are working at Microsoft in Redmond here, because that's a little bit closer and you're just kind of driving these like surface streets. You're not having to get on the freeway as much. So those are kind of the big differences. Both of them have like, they're more towny, like neighborhoody feel, but then some have like it's definitely more suburban in these areas. And then some parts of like Sammamish and even Issaquah can feel like really rural too, just depending on where you are. Like Sammamish, the further east you get, it just starts to feel a lot more rural. Same with Issaquah. I mean, you've got the Highlands here, which is like a kind of a pre-planned community type of thing. So it's definitely more like city feeling there. There's like the little downtown and it's definitely more walkable there. But, further down around in this area in Issaquah, this is like the old town, but down around in here, some areas it can feel definitely more kind of rural, but all definitely much more suburban areas here. You're definitely going to need a car in most of these areas, unless you're living in like the Highlands, which you're like right on a little townhouse or condo in that area. You can get away with not having a car. Same in Sammamish, they're starting to build more of these like little townhouse type of things that make it more walkable to the town center. But if you have to like go anywhere else outside of those areas, then you definitely need a car. So just kind of to compare the two things, like with schools, both of them have very highly rated schools. If you look on niche.com, which is a website that will rate different areas, they both get A+ in schools. Issaquah is mostly in the Issaquah School District. Sammamish is in the Lake Washington School District. So both of them, I'd say schools are pretty comparable for the two. They both have like very highly rated schools. Safety, they're both pretty similar. Issaquah, if you look on areavibes.com, that will give you just ratings for safety and crime rates. Issaquah gets a B- for crime, where Sammamish has an A+. So I don't know if it's something with like Issaquah being closer to I-90, just like off that freeway. It's a little closer to like zoom in, do your crime, and then leave. Like, I don't know if that's part of it. And then Sammamish is a little bit more like remote, kind of a little harder to get to. So that might be like part of the reason that some of it, the Issaquah gets a little bit lower of a score, but I think generally speaking, both places are relatively safe. Like, you're not going to see like a huge amount of crime, like compared to if you're living in like downtown Seattle or something. So those areas I think are still both relatively pretty safe for crime. Affordability, that's kind of like the big difference. They're both not the most affordable areas to live in, but the median home price in Issaquah is at $950. So that was for August of 2022. That was for single family homes, where Sammamish is at 1.376. So definitely a little bit higher price in Sammamish. Also, something to keep in mind, Sammamish is like, usually the lots are kind of bigger there. I feel like the homes are a lot larger in Sammamish too. So I think that's where like the median price varies. Like Issachquah has a lot more kind of like condo, townhouse, like smaller style homes along with larger homes, where Sammamish is mostly like bigger single family homes. There's not really a ton of like townhouse type of homes. There are some new ones coming and new construction, but I think that's where like the affordability price range varies between the two, because Issaquah, you're going to get a bigger mix of styles of homes, where Sammamish, it's just going to be like big houses, mainly. mainly. The median income in Issaquah is 122,000. That was for the year 2020. I think on the 2020 census, that's where Issaquah came in at. So that's household income, not just like a single person income. So that's like median household income is 122,000. Whereas Sammamish, you're looking at like 181,000. So definitely we've got like higher income earners, earning households in Sammamish. So again, that could like account for the higher home prices too, because people just have more disposable income in that area. So again, both are still relatively like on the higher price of things, but I think Issaquah is going to be slightly more affordable as far as housing is concerned, just because partly too, you can find some like smaller condos too that are more affordable than large houses in Sammamish. Just talking about commute, I kind of touched on before, but generally speaking, Issaquah is going to be a little bit faster with that commute, because you've got I-90 if you're going to downtown Seattle, if that's your commute route, versus Sammamish, where you're going to have to like go down and then get on I-90. One thing too to note, Sammamish, you can't tell on the map, but it's like on a plateau. I think it's called the Sammamish Plateau, but like, so like the little downtown area is like up high, and like you like go up a hill to get up on there. So that like, if there's any sort of like adverse weather going on, it can be really hard to like get off of the plateau if you're like having to commute too. We don't get snow that often here, maybe like once a year, but that's just something to keep in mind. Or if like the rains are really bad, we always joke like after it's been like beautiful and sunny, then we get like the first rain, like Seattleites like forget how to drive in the rain. And so traffic is just like terrible that like first day of rain. So you get some heavy rain, people like lose all their sense and they forget how to drive in the rain. So just keep that in mind too, like trying to get off that like plateau. It's a little harder, and it's just like smaller streets. It's not like it's a big major like freeway or any huge road running through there. You're definitely on like surface streets, so the traffic can just be a little bit tougher. Another thing to keep in mind is like public transit. If you're like driving into Seattle, you're going to be commuting into Seattle and want to utilize public transit, there are like park and ride. There's buses, like the fast buses that go over there. So there's different park and rides along I-90 that you can take. So people in Sammamish too can like drive. I can't remember. It's like somewhere around here, the park and ride. And so you just pop on that and it will get you into town. There is a light rail proposed. It's in like the voter stage right now, so nothing has like happened. It will probably not even be here until like 2044, around there. And then things in this area notoriously take way longer than what they're scheduled for, so it could even go beyond that. But there is talk of having a light rail come through Issaquah and up to Kirkland. So Kirkland is up here. So that's just something to like, I guess, keep in mind if you want to like move there and you're planning to live there for 20 years. There may be a light rail at some point there, but they are talking about it. It is on like people's radar to make the commute a little bit better. There is a light rail that's just opening up in Bellevue from Seattle. It was supposed to open 2023. Now, like I said, things are getting delayed. There's been a lot of things. I think part of it's like COVID too, getting materials and stuff. But so that's going to be delayed like a year. They're saying they haven't given like an updated date on when it will open, but they're saying it's delayed probably by about a year. So now that light rail is going to open in probably 2024. Who knows, maybe even longer, honestly, like everything just gets delayed here. But that light rail station, it goes across I-90 bridge, and there's like a stop here, and then it will go up kind of along 405 and up into Redmond is the proposed area now that's supposed to be opening. It ends in the Microsoft campus, and then I think it will go to downtown Redmond after that. So that will be coming in the next couple of years. So if you're wanting to maybe do the light rail into the city, you can drive along I-90, park, and then hop on that light rail if you don't want to like drive your car in downtown Seattle or something. So that's something to keep in mind. But I do think the commute from Issaquah to downtown Seattle, you're probably looking at like 30 minutes on I-5 or on I-90, as long as there's not really bad traffic. Public transit, probably 40, 45 minutes, maybe an hour, even longer. Whereas Sammamish, you're looking at like 45 minutes or longer, depending on where you are in that like long strip of Sammamish. If you're closer to the south, obviously it'll be closer. But if you have to like drive all the way down and then over, it will be much longer. Even an hour, I'd say. As far as things to do between the two cities, I'd say they're pretty comparable. I think Issaquah maybe has slightly more to do as far as like restaurants and things. Issaquah's got like the Issaquah Highlands, and then they've got like their Old Town Issaquah to like downtown area. So there's like a lot of little shops there and restaurants and a movie theater and shopping centers and stuff. So as far as like, I mean, you can have everything that you need in that area, but if you're wanting to like get some more like cultural activities where there's like festivals or things, you're definitely be going into like Bellevue or Seattle for that. But as far as just like day to day, there's plenty of different restaurants there. Same with Sammamish, I think has slightly less restaurants. Like they've got like one of each. Like there's a lot of fast food and then maybe like one Mexican place, one Italian place. You know, you've got kind of like all the chains that you're familiar with, and even some of the like local Seattle chains, but not a huge variety in them. It's not the most like happening place. I'd say both areas, if you're super into nightlife, definitely not going to be your jam, because both are more like suburban family geared. So there's just not a lot happening. You're going to be wanting to go into Bellevue or Seattle if you want like a thriving nightlife. But nice quiet area for families for sure. I'd say the thing that's nice about both of Issaquah and Sammamish is they're both close to nature. They both kind of butt up to the Snoqualmie recreation area. If you just take I-90, I mean, to get to Snoqualmie from Issaquah is probably like 15, 20 minutes. You're not too far. Well, probably like 20, 30 minutes, actually, a little bit longer, but you're really close to like tons of hiking trails and mountains. So if you're like really into like the mountain life, like Issaquah is great because it's super close. You don't have to like drive through the city to get out into nature. Like it's very close and accessible. And same with Sammamish, like so close. You've got all the mountains and stuff to the east. Then you've got like there's Lake Sammamish, but then there's quite a few smaller lakes too in the area. So that is nice. Like you've got Pine Lake here and then Beaver Lake Park. So there's a lot of like these smaller little lake areas too. So if you're like into boating and things like that, then Sammamish might be more of your jam, just because you've got this big lake, and there's definitely like in the summertime people are like out and on the boats and stuff. So they're very similar in that, but then Issaquah is like geared a little more, or I'm sorry, Sammamish is geared a little bit more towards the lake lifestyle. So there you have it. There is Issaquah, Sammamish, comparing the two. Like I said, really similar in a lot of ways, but then they do have a few different differences. And it's just all about finding that perfect place for you. So moving to a new area can be really tough, especially if you don't know the specifics of the neighborhoods in the area, but that's what we're here for. We're here to help. If you're relocating or moving to Seattle, give us a call, email, text. We got your back when moving to Seattle.